So we have discussed discrete structures in detail. As part of discrete structures, we have seen sets, cross products, relations, functions, and a powerful model called graphs. And there are many interesting case studies we have looked at. To name a few, and a couple of them are from Ramsey theory. Say in a group of 6 people, there exist 3 mutual friends or 3 mutual enemies. And towards the end, we started asking the fundamental questions like how many inputs are there for, say, linear search problem? How many inputs are there for, say, the sorting problem? And when we started asking this fundamental question, we were motivated enough to look at the theory of infinite sets. And that's on one side. And we also looked at questions such as how many computational problems are there, and one can also ask how many different C programs are there and things like that. And it looks like there are many interesting questions which we come across in computer science in particular, and they all fall into theory of infinite sets. And so that motivated us to investigate the theory of infinite sets. And if you largely look at the power of discrete structures and what discrete structures can offer to a mathematician or a computer scientist, is one can draw examples, one can visualize many examples, and with that you observe patterns and come up with some good inferences and so on, and then try generalizing your observation. And in an attempt to generalize, in an attempt to prove a claim, discrete structures play a role in modeling and giving you the right abstraction, and subsequently giving you necessary mathematical tools, proof techniques to prove so and so claim. And there are other questions that we are interested in as part of discrete mathematics and in computer science. For example, so 2 such questions that we were interested in the theory of infinite sets are the number of inputs to a computational problem. The second question was the number of computational problems. And the other questions, like when we looked at Ramsey theory, we looked at in a group of 6, so there exist 3 mutual friends or there exist 3 mutual enemies. So we were able to prove this using pigeonhole principle. So such a proof or such an argument is existential argument, meaning it tells you that such a claim is true, and in any group of 6 we always find 3 mutual friends or 3 mutual enemies. But as a computer scientist, we are also interested in the constructive argument. What do you mean by constructive argument? Can we come up with an algorithm or a program that stops? So can we come up with an algorithm which will output, given a group of 6, which will output 3 mutual friends? It will tell you here is a set of 3, they actually form 3 mutual friends. Or here is a set of 3, they form 3 mutual enemies. So often we are interested in algorithm or the program that stops and which answers the given question. So largely we are interested in the constructive argument. Not just this, questions like say input as a set A and a binary relation. Now we ask is R reflexive? we ask questions such as, is R a partial order? Now, can we come up with an algorithm, a sequence of steps which are logically related and which will answer this question, whether a given relation is reflexive or partial order? In general, you are given a discrete set and we wish to know whether it satisfies a property or not. That discrete set could be a set itself, or it could be a cross product, it could be a relation, it could be a function, it could be a graph, and there are many discrete structures that we come across. So we wish to know, given a discrete structure and a property P, we want to know whether the discrete structure is satisfying the property or not. And then we also looked at questions such as how many binary relations are possible, number of binary reflexive relations, or number of binary relations that are reflexive in nature, number of binary relations that are reflexive. We looked at this question from the counting perspective. Now what we ask is there an algorithm which will list, algorithm to count and list all R. So it will list all R, that are meaning all binary relations that are reflexive in nature. In general, you are given a discrete structure and a property. We want to write an algorithm to count and list all binary relations. In this case, in general, all discrete structures satisfying the property P. So questions like this is what we would be interested in when you move from discrete structures, and when we looked at a domain where discrete structures has got a direct application. And there are many interesting domains in computer science where we are interested in questions of similar nature. So now, how do we answer these questions? And there are questions like write an algorithm to list, say, the set of real numbers, or to list all C programs. So some of these questions are answerable, meaning there is a solution to it, they are solvable. Some of the questions are unsolvable, there is no algorithm at all. For example, for these two questions, there is no algorithm. So no algorithm exists, which means they fall into the category called unsolvable. Or these problems, it cannot be computed. So some are computable. For example, these are solvable or computable. So now what we shall see next is the following. Now that we know discrete sets and the properties that it can satisfy, how many of them can satisfy, and how to check, all that we have seen through examples, and some of them through a formal proof argument and so on. Now our focus is on constructive argument, what can be computed and what cannot be computed. Can be computed, can we come up with an algorithm? And cannot be computed, no algorithm exists, or it is falling into unsolvable category. So now, how do we understand the theory of computability, or theory of something that cannot be computed? Okay. So theory of computability is what we want to understand. in an attempt to see what can be computed and what cannot be computed. And there are limitations, right? When we looked at infinite sets, we saw that some of them are countably infinite, some of them are uncountably infinite. So when you fix a domain, we always come across few case studies satisfying the domain of interest, and some of them do not. And so unless we understand the domain in a larger picture, we may not be able to talk about the classification with respect to the domain. So now when we talk about theory of computability, we need to understand the underlying computation. When we say it is computable, then what do you mean by it is computable? And what makes us to say that it is computable? We are not going to look at a specific problem like say linear search, sort, and then discover an algorithm and say that it is solvable or computable. But we need to understand this theory from a larger picture. So that is the focus of the next module. And the next module of interest is automata theory. Automaton, and the plural form of that is automata. So this talks about two things. One is computability and another one is complexity. What can be computed, what cannot be computed comes under computability. When you know it can be computed, then we talk about how efficiently we can compute, how quickly we can arrive at the solution, how complex the problem is in discovering a solution. So that complexity part is what we shall be dealing with as part of the complexity track. And more about complexity track we come across in a course on design and analysis of algorithms, and the advanced material on that we discuss as part of the course on advanced data structures and algorithms course, advanced algorithms course. There is a course on complexity theory, and there we discuss this in detail. And the focus of this module, we spend some time on computability part and some time on complexity part, and largely from math perspective, meaning the abstraction, modeling. And when we started this course, we said the focus of this course is to understand or bring in abstraction and modeling, so that what we work with or what we speak, there is a logic to it, and there is no ambiguity, and there is a clarity in what we express. So what we will do, and we will not, although we start with couple of examples and so on, and subsequently we extract a larger message and focus on mathematical models and abstraction. With that we study the theory of computability and complexity.